Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we just want to have a quick look at the Respin for Peppermint 9. This was just released, and first we'll have a quick look at the here at the release notes, and then we will dive on into the distro itself. So, of course, this is Peppermint 9's been out. This is the Respin, which is when they take the entire project, they update all the packages, work on any bugs that have been pushed out to this time, so that if you download Peppermint 9, you don't have to go through a ton of excess updates and things. You get something that's much more up to date. And I do love this little logo they put up here. This is just a beautiful little picture. But as far as what we have, this is based on an Ubuntu 18.04 LTS. Why not Ubuntu 18.10? Because Ubuntu derivatives work on the LTS. It gives you better long-term support. However, it is worth noting that the LTSs do also maintain bug fixes and security updates. So an LTS distro now is going to be better than an 18.04 LTS distro was when LTS first was released. Peppermint, if you are unaware, is a lightweight distro. You can use it on new and old computers of anything, whether if you want to minimize your system resources, whether that's because your computer's low end or you just want to save as much computer processing power as you can. Peppermint gives you a nice traditional layout with an interesting default theme in both 64 and 32-bit flavors. So you can use this for your older systems as well. As far as what are the highlights, they've swapped out VLC for XPlayer because a lot of people have been reporting VLC's been getting a little crazy and flaky lately. And so they swapped this out for XPlayer, which is a lot more lightweight and should still work with the variety of codecs that they have installed. Let's see, there will probably be some extra things you need to do. Read the release notes for commercial DVDs, which case usually install VLC. So just keep note of that. They did remove the levels from Linux Mint, which was something that Linux Mint did a while back. I think, was it with 18.3 or was it 19.0? I forget when they removed those levels, but they did. And then they fixed the ICE applications, a couple things about the menus, mostly to mix or basically to match the ICE application into the XFC Whisker menu categories. So it should be more streamlined creating ICE applications. We'll talk about what those are in a bit if you are unfamiliar with ICE applications. Let's see, there's accessibilities. Let's see, other system information, some extra wallpaper changes, and just a few little things. One thing to note is if you had issues working with Broadcom modems, they might work better now out of the box. They added additional wireless drivers out of the box. That's one of your biggest issues with running some Linux distros, is certain wireless cards just don't work as well out of the box. And so there's ways around that. But they did some of that. There's also new support for encrypted drives. There is new support for Wacom tablets and just a few other little things like in updating packages and things like that. So that is what is going on with it. So let's go ahead and boot over to that distro right now so we can have a look at what it looks like. All right, so we are on our startup screen. It was able to go full screen out of the box. It didn't start that way, but I was able to push it there, so hopefully it's still full screen for us. If not, we'll just make that quick little change. My super secret password that I promise is not Peppermint. All right, so here we are. We have our Peppermint. So this is our nice new Peppermint information. I installed this. I did not do anything else to this, so you can see what the differences are here if you are familiar with this. So here is, first let's have a look at our update settings. It looks like we already need to run an update. Just our Peppermint panels. So that should install pretty quickly. So of course you can see that the levels are no longer there. If you were used to Peppermint in the past, that you had the levels that was reminiscent of the old way that Linux Mint ran. In this case now, everything should be up to date. And And then we have up here, we have our menu. So as far as the theming, some people really like this theming, some people really don't. This one to me is a little, I mean, it's a little nicer than it was on Peppermint 8, which was the last time I really stared at the theming. I still personally run Peppermint 7 on one of my systems. I just, there's 2 software packages that I needed slightly up to date. I added repos for those and keep them up to date. But so this is what the theming looks like. Some people really like it, some people don't. It's just a nice minty poppy type theming set, which I think is really cool. Out of the box, we do have several different desktops and desktop images. So some of these are old classics, so you can see some of these guys. And then this is actually, well, not that one. This is the one that I personally run on my laptop that runs Peppermint OS, which is great. There's just some beautiful beautiful backgrounds that they have in this. Let's go back to the one that they have given us. There's this, and there's also this alternative to it, which is just kind of red. Let's go ahead and keep this one up going here. All right, so we mentioned ICE applications. So ICE is a package manager that basically enables you to create windowed versions of websites. So if we actually go over here into our Office, you'll see we have things like Google Drive, Microsoft Word, and things. What these are ICE applications. What this means is that you can create a single window to load just one specific application. So this one here is loading up a instance of Microsoft Word online. So it'll prompt us with a login box here. So of course I don't have a login for this, but anyway, we do have the ability here to create these windowed applications. They can be based on Firefox, Vivaldi, Chromium, or Chrome, depending on what you have installed. And in this case here, we just have Firefox, which is why that's the only option available. You can come over here to remove, and then there are a bunch of lists here. You can just kind of grab whatever you need and just hit remove if you don't want those in there. Which, me, Google stuff. Ew. 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 Awesome. All right. So you can go ahead and do those, and then you can create them by giving your thing a title, entering a web address, and then this indicates where. So this was one of their changes, is that they had changed the selection of the menu list items so that they are going to be in line with the category items we have over here. So that's how this works. ICE applications, very nice. Now, of course, one of the criticisms that I've always had about this is they don't have an easy way to put your icons, your main usual normal icons up on the desktop. Of course, we can work off the desktop, so we can come over here. We can create new documents. You can create a new folder. We can work off the desktop. And the thing is they have a really cool settings panel here, and I would so love it. It would be very easy for them to just drop in an item here to turn these on, turn off. Now, you can add those. Just need to come down here to tweaks. Go down to your deconf editor, and then what we want to do is from here we want to navigate to org, Nemo, desktop, and then these guys here are where these are. So this is your computer. This is your home icon. Here's your trash icon, network icon. Whoop. Network icon. There you go. So that's how you can turn those on. I really wish that they would do that. This is the one thing that keeps us from being probably the single most user-friendly basic distro there is the fact that it just has everything so beautiful out of the box, but we don't have an easy option to add those simple panels. It'd be so easy to just add those. It's there. You can do it. There is documentation about how to add those on, but a new user looking at this might be like, I need these icons, and it'd be so easy to do. So here is kind of your look and feel. We do have a variety of different colorations we can do. So no matter what you like, you can, there's going to be something for you there. Of course, I do actually really like it out of the box, so that's this one here. So I really do like that. Here's our colorations, icon themes. We have a variety of these. So of course, these are modified for this. Panel preferences, our panel down here at the bottom. Of course, it's set up out of the box traditionally like a basic Windows type system. My apologies for that virtual box menu. It keeps popping up. I have forgotten to disable it on this one. I've been disabling it on many of them. That thing drives me crazy. But you can come down here and you can make some changes to your panel. Whether you want to move it, put it on one of the different sides, whatever else, you can do that. Wallpapers where we looked at. There's Dropbox, which I'm not a fan of that, but it is there. Notifications, software settings. I mentioned briefly about the drivers. If you are having issues with your wireless, then what you want to do is find some way to get the thing temporarily connected to the internet. That might be using a USB wireless dongle. It might be plugging it into your phone. It might be putting it into a network jack. Whatever you can do to temporarily give it internet. And then come into here under hardware, hit additional drivers. And then this is going to load up a driver utility that's going to scan your computer for any available proprietary software. Usually what it means if your wireless is not working is that you will see an item in here for Broadcom adapters. And the reason that occurs, it's not that Linux sucks, it's that Linux by default generally does not package proprietary things. And so you have the ability to go in here and do this. Now, I would like it if another thing that Linux Mint has done really well in this respect is, particularly for NVIDIA drivers, which also do not necessarily play too well with Linux, they have an ability to boot into the computer with those enabled. It would be really cool if they could give us another option to boot into the computer with Broadcom drivers available, because if you don't have an easy way to get the internet access on, you're kind of sunk in the water, and that's not particularly good. So that would be a really cool thing to do. But anyway, that's where you find it. Just go to click on that drivers, and then you'll have to install that. The downside is, of course, you do have to be on the internet to make that occur. So there's other items here. There's Thunderbird, there's Firefox, themes, firewall, a variety of other settings, users, groups. So you can see everything here is pretty easy to figure out. They do have nice packages like Synaptic. You can grab it from here, just from within this control panel. So inside of this application here, the applications we get, now of course this gives us on the install, since this is based on Ubuntu 18, it gives us the question, do we want to do a minimal install or do we want to do a full install? I did the full install. The difference is it just adds a couple of extra software packages. Since this utilizes a lot of ICE applications to show off what ICE does, it really doesn't feel like it's installing anything less. In fact, I'm really actually not sure if there's a difference between the minimal and the full install here, because the full install on Ubuntu does give you LibreOffice. This does not. This gives us ICE applications for Microsoft and things like that. Now, there's a reason why it does that. The reason why is that Peppermint was kind of created as an answer to Chromebooks, which were lightweight, online accessible devices. These things utilized links to Google Docs rather than an actual application for Google Docs. That's why they put so much into building a nice ICE application. So if you do need a Office suite, just come on in here into Synaptic and search for LibreOffice like this, all one word, and then this should give us all the packages for LibreOffice. I've gone too far. All right, so this is the LibreOffice meta package. Installing this is going to install everything that you need for basic functionality. So if you were to just select this guy, mark it for installation, it's going to install all this other stuff, which is going to include your Libre Writer, your Libre Calc, your Draw, your Base, pretty much everything. It's going to mark as stuff. Hit apply. I'm not going to do it because it's going to take a long time to install. I mean, it's downloading an extra half a gig of data there. So we're going to quit that. I'm not going to install that, but you can do that. That's why we don't have a lot of extra applications in here, is because this really was originally built up for that. You do have other options as well. Let's see. I forgot this actually had a software manager. Okay, so this is using the software manager from Linux Mint, which is certainly one of the better software managers. We do have Flatpak down there, so it looks like we do have some Flatpaks you can install. You can also install things here. So you can actually, if you just come up here and just type Office in this guy, this should get you the variety of things. So here's LibreOffice if you want the whole thing. If you need just a word processor, you can install just the word processor independently of everything else, so you don't have to install everything. So let's go ahead and do that. As far as using this, I've not used Peppermint version 9 on my systems, but like I said, my writing computer that I write my books on has been running Peppermint 7 since Peppermint 7 was a new system. Runs perfectly fine, has all the updates, has never given me any issues, any bugs, any problems, anything. It is just a great system. That's why I really highly recommend this operating system. So of course here, this is the new media player that they're running instead of running VLC. This is going to be ported over, I think, from Linux Mint. I'll have to look at it to know for sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's from Linux Mint. Let's see. Yeah, this is from Linux Mint, so that's what we're getting there. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Nemo is our file manager, and that's one of the things I like about it. Nemo is certainly my favorite file manager. All right, so this is now installed, so that should be right down here under Office. Now I can see that LibreOffice, it looks like that installed Math right along with it. So here is LibreOffice Writer. We're looking like we're rocking version 6. 6.0.7.3, not the absolute latest, but certainly a good version. Theming looks a little old, but that's okay. That's adjustable as well. Looks like our spelling checker is installed. And if I'm not mistaken, our synonyms are also installed as well. So we are good with that. All right. So, yeah, not a big fan of that UI there, but that's okay. Mine doesn't look like that. Mine looks a lot cleaner than that. I'm not sure what the difference is. I think it's because they either I didn't put the theming in place or whatever else. My other system I set up a long time ago. So this is Peppermint 9. Definitely a distro that I highly recommend. Hopefully you now know how to add your desktop icons if you need those. You know what? There's one other thing in case you're new to Linux that you might want to know how to do. If you want to do a right click and say, add something to this, like on a Windows computer, you might see add a new Office document or whatever. Well, those are actually coming from the templates folder. So let's go ahead and talk about how we can do that. Let's go ahead and pull up LibreWriter again, and let's just start with our default document and whatever we want this to be. So maybe you want to run, let's see, what fonts do I like? Let's go Liberation Sans. Okay, so Liberation Sans. Now what we're going to do is we are going to file save as. And what we're going to do is I don't want to save it there. I want to go up and I want to save it into templates. And I want to give it a title of writer document. Or maybe you might want to do let's do writer. I was going to do word processor, but let's do writer document like this. Save there. Now we're going to close this guy out. That's now in our templates, and now when we right click, then we will now have the ability to create a new writer document right on the desktop. Open this up, and now we're right back in any settings that we had. So if you wanted this, whatever font, whatever, font size, anything that you want. That's how you do it. So you can put anything that you want to be able to right click and create. You just drop right here in your templates folder, and that's going to do it. And that's going to work on pretty much any Linux distro. Does not work on Deepin desktop environment, but pretty much anywhere else, that should be how that works. All right, so that is Peppermint 9 Respin. Let me know what your thoughts of this distro are in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video from SwitchedtoLinux. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the links at the top. There is another video over here. You can check out our Patreon page down here. And you can check out shop.switchedtolinux.com for information on a t-shirt like this or some other designs. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.